Hello student, we have seen how the insulin is released from the beta cells of pancreas last lecture. Now there are various channels which are involved in the release of insulin from the secretory granules. Now this can be the channels, the blocking and opening of these channels can be exploited for the action of various drugs which are used in the diabetes mellitus. Now which are the drugs and which are the channels involved in that we'll see in the this particular lecture in continuation with the previous lecture. Now before that, the insulin it is released, it is in a biphasic fashion, that is in a biphasic release we are calling insulin. So if you see here, the after the stimulus, isn't it, that is a main stimulus is a glucose, the increase in the blood sugar level is a main stimulus for the release of insulin from the pancreatic beta cells. So after ingestion of the increase the level of sugar in the blood, within 2 minutes the level of insulin, or you can say the insulin starts secreting and its level increases and goes to peak level at around 5 minutes of ingestion of the glucose, or you can say ingestion of carbohydrate milk when the increase in the blood sugar level, and then the level decrease afterward, and again it will increase after some time. So this is called as a biphasic release of insulin from the beta cells of pancreas. Now why it is biphasic? Because initially when there is a stimulus for release of insulin, whatever preformed insulin it is there, that is secreted. Okay, so the insulin it is stored in the secretory granule, and when you get a stimulus it is immediately it is released, preformed insulin. Then when at the second phase, the insulin secretion is a synthesis is a continuous process. So the cells they synthesize the insulin and then it is released afterward. So that is called as a biphasic release of the insulin. So this is a graphical presentation of how the concentration of insulin it is increase or release of insulin from the beta cells in a biphasic fashion. Now coming to the channels, isn't it? It's the channels which are the used for the release of the insulin, that is blocking or activating particular channels. Now most important channels are ATP sensitive potassium channels, what we have seen in the last lecture, and second is a voltage gated calcium channels. So these two channels are important for release of insulin from the beta cells. Now these channels, the blocking or activating of these channels can be used for the treatment of the drugs, various drugs which can be acts on the beta cells of the pancreas, and they helps in the release of the insulin whatever form in the beta cell, and for the treatment of diabetes mellitus, like particularly type 2 diabetes mellitus, where the insulin is insufficient for or it is less secreted. So first group of drug here you can say the sulfonylurea. Sulfonylurea is the first group of drug. It's the oral anti-diabetic, or you can say the drugs which include tolbutamide, glyburide, glimepiride and glipizide. These are the drugs under the sulfonylurea group. Okay, so what these drugs they are doing, they blocks this ATP sensitive potassium channels. So when it is these drugs, when it blocks the ATP sensitive potassium channels, they helps in the release of the insulin from the. These drugs are called as ATP or potassium channel blockers, isn't it? So sulfonylurea group and meglitinide group. So meglitinide group, which include the nataglinide and repaglinide. So these two drugs are under the meglitinide group, and this is sulfonylurea group. So both of them which blocks the potassium channel, and because of blocking of this potassium channel, there is a depolarization of the cell membrane. Depolarization will causes the entry of calcium ions inside the cell, and this voltage gated calcium channels stay open, so there is an increasing influx of the calcium ions in the cell, and then this increase in the calcium ions helps in the secretion of this insulin in the circulation, isn't it? So this mechanism we have seen in last lecture, how it, isn't it, the channels they help in. So these are the two group of drugs, sulfonylurea and meglitinide group. These groups, they are generally used as a in the treatment of diabetes mellitus, particularly type 2 diabetes mellitus, and for the treatment. Understood? Now next group of drug, here you can see, or next drug is a diazoxide. Now this diazoxide binds with the ATP sensitive potassium channel. This also binds with the ATP sensitive potassium channels, but for the action of this drug is such that it keeps this channel open. So it keeps the channel permanently open, so the cell remain hyperpolarized, and hyperpolarization. The cell remain hyperpolarized. That means the channel is open, so the cell remain hyperpolarized, and because of that there is no secretion of insulin. Not so this particular drug diazoxide, it is used for the treatment of the condition called as insulinoma, or where the insulinoma is the tumor of beta cells of pancreas. So there is a in insulinoma, there is a increased secretion of insulin, and that results into hypoglycemia. So hypoglycemia, it is a dangerous condition where there may be death occurs. So to treat this condition, the drug like a diazoxide is used, which causes the hyperpolarization of this membrane by this keeping this ATP sensitive potassium channel open, and that results into it will prevent the secretion of insulin, and it can be used for the treatment of insulinoma, that is tumor of where there is a hypersecretion of the insulin. So this is about the drugs which are used for the treatment and how they acts. So most important thing is here that there are drugs, most of them they are the group of pharmaceutical agents or drugs which binds to the potassium channels. They are called as potassium channel blockers. Okay, and they are generally used for the secretion of insulin, the increased secretion of insulin. Okay, so with this we'll move to the next chapter, that is regulation of insulin secretion. Regulation of secretion. Now, how the secretion of insulin is regulated? So last time we have seen that most important regulator, or you can say the stimulus for insulin secretion, is the blood sugar level. So nutrition, isn't it? Nutrition play important role in the what you are taking, nutrition. So in that, glucose increase the blood sugar level, stimulus, most important stimulus for this. Then other things also, like fatty acids, then amino acids, then increased concentration of ketone bodies. They are also acts as a stimulus for secretion, or it regulate the you can say the insulin secretion. Now in this glucokinase, you see the enzyme glucokinase. This enzyme is a rate limiting enzyme. In the secretion of insulin, because when the insulin when the glucose is enter in the beta cells, it is converted to glucose 6 phosphate. So this is a phosphorylation of this glucose. It takes place by the glucokinase, and this will decide that, because it is a rate limiting enzyme, this will very important for the regulation of the insulin secretion. Then other things like a fatty acid, amino acids, or ketone bodies, their level increases in the fed state when there is a or we can say it is a post absorptive state. So they are also they helps in the regulating the secretion of insulin. Now another important thing is that how the insulin is stimulated, or like if the glucose is, we are saying it's a potent, you can say the important stimulus for the insulin secretion. So if we give the glucose intravenously, okay, so if you give intravenous glucose, and if you give the oral glucose in the individual, what will happen? The stimulus for the secretion of insulin, or quantity of insulin is secreted, it is more in case of oral glucose than that of the intravenous glucose. It is established that when you give the insulin intravenously, and if you give the orally, what will happen? The stimulus for the or quantity of insulin which is secreted, it is more than that of the intravenous glucose, and orally if you give, the stimulus is more. But now this indicates there must be some other agents, other factors which acts as a stimulus for secretion of insulin. When you give the oral glucose, there is a more stimulus. Okay, so there are certain agents, isn't it, or peptides, or it is from the gastrointestinal tract. Peptides from gastrointestinal tract, isn't it? Secretion from the gastrointestinal tract, or you can say the epithelial cells of the gastrointestinal tract. They act as a stimulus for secretion of, or increased secretion of insulin. These peptides are called incretins. So these are the group of peptides. Incretins are the group of peptides which causes stimulus for the secretion of insulin. Got? So which are the incretins? Most important is incretin is a glucagon-like peptide 1. It's a glucagon-like peptide 1. It is not like a glucagon. The action is not like a glucagon, but it is glucagon-like peptide 1, which acts incretin. Second is a gastric inhibitory peptide, which is secreted by in the gastrointestinal tract. Then other thing like a secretin, cholecystokinin, CCK ऐसे, और gastrin. These are the hormones like peptide which originate from the gastrointestinal tract, and their action is on the beta cells of pancreas for stimulating the insulin secretion. Now, what does they do actually? What is how they act? They have got receptors on the beta cells of pancreas, and after ingestion of food, this secretion they are secreted in the blood, gastrointestinal epithelial cell in the blood, and causes the increase in the secretion of insulin. So these incretins, they causes, what actual function of these incretins? Causes first increase release of, it will increase release of insulin. So out of these incretins, GLP and GIP, these are most important incretins. These incretins causes the increased release of insulin. Second is inhibits gastric emptying. So the gastric emptying is inhibited, so the food remain in the stomach for more time, and that will also helps in the digestion of the food and release of insulin. Third is increase satiety or decrease hunger. So all these particular incretins, they increase satiety, means the satiety center stimulate, and you get a satisfaction. So there is no further ingestion of food, and it will decrease hunger, so that automatically the increased levels of all these things, it controls the nutrient from the gastrointestinal tract for digestion and further, isn't it? So these are the most important functions or use of the incretins. Okay, so these incretins, they are used for the treatment of diabetes mellitus, and some drugs are there which helps. They act as incretins. Okay, so they will stimulate the secretion of insulin and can be used as a anti-diabetic oral drugs for the treatment of type 2 diabetes. Okay, so these incretins, they are the synthetic compound, can be used for the as a like a GLP-1, the synthetic compounds which are used for the as a incretin, like a sitagliptin. This is a compound which mimics the activity of you can say the drugs like the activity of GLP-1, and can be used for the treatment of the diabetes. So this way we can say how the insulin secretion is regulated. So apart from that, other hormones like growth hormone, epinephrine, norepinephrine, isn't it? Thyroxine, thyroid hormones. These are also uh, regulate the secretion of insulin. What? So they are called as a hyperglycemic hormones, which are against the insulin, isn't it? Insulin is only the hypoglycemic hormone. That means it reduces the blood sugar level, while these are all this growth hormone, thyroxine or thyroid hormone, then epinephrine, norepinephrine, all they are the hyperglycemic hormone, increase the blood sugar level. Okay, so they are also regulate the secretion of insulin. Second thing is somatostatin. The delta cells of pancreas secrete a somatostatin. This particular hormone having the inhibitory effect of all these hormone which are secreted by the pancreas, and it controls the secretion of all the other hormones in the pancreas. So this way it is regulated, the secretion of the insulin is regulated.